So two dads on a road trip. The more experienced one doesn't have any idea what he's doing at all. So how could he possibly give advice? And that's not even counting the mom moments. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Gifted, Episode 6. I've got your... 6. There's an X in 6, and they capitalized it. Alright, so Gifted is still going strong, and I just wish the people who were writing the dialogue and writing the great episode synopsises could write the titles of the episode, so maybe we could get away from the stupid cliche. But then again, we do have some cliches tonight, especially when dealing with Sentinel services. So let's try to talk about those. But before we do, in case this is your first time here, what I do here is I look at stories, try to dissect them. Basically, I spend way too much time thinking about what makes a story a story. And if that interests you, come join our community by clicking that subscribe button, enabling alerts, leaving a comment, or just giving me a thumbs up. Just in general, in some way, let's all work together. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about memories, and how easy it is to implant them and how hard it is to get away from them, and the fact that memories are who you are. You mess with them too much, and you change the person. And of course, now we have to question if whether or not anyone else on the show isn't who they think they are, if anyone's been messed with, because Blink has been. Of course, that's carrying a lot of luggage and a lot of heavy weight, so I don't know what we're going to do about that going forward. But for now, I do want to just also say the family dynamic is what mostly this was about tonight. About how you figure out what your family's new normal is. But before I get too far into specifics, let's throw this up there to get started. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. So right now our family dynamic is pretty dysfunctional. We of course have the Struckers, but we also have Eclipse and Polaris. And you know what? They're all kind of just learning, because this is something new for each of them. In the case of Polaris and Eclipse, this is their first time having a kid. Both of them. And it's together. Meanwhile, we have the fact that the Struckers are trying to learn what it means to be a mutant. And I really loved the whole this is your new normal. They might be fighting the rest of their lives. You need to train them. But I also like the fact that they called out that they're some of the most powerful mutants they've seen. Because let's be honest, they did some pretty badass stuff. Now, Polaris is no slouch. Polaris is probably the most powerful member of the team before the Struckers. Her Master of Magnetism comes with a full understanding of the electromagnetic field, and I was kind of surprised she got fooled by the illusion of the flowers. Couldn't she, because it was a visual trick, just magnetically pick up the saw blade anyway? Oh well, missed opportunity. But at the same time, while they were training, the mom stepped in and was like, hey, I don't want my daughter learning how to fight. And if you think about it, there's a really great analogy to today. Do you know those drills that kids go through? In the very real world, my niece and nephew are 8 and 10, and they have to go through these drills, and they don't fully understand what it's for, but it's in case some crazy person comes in and starts shooting up their school. And with the mass shootings on record now, I mean, it's something you have to prepare for. In this world, being a mutant means you need to prepare for Sentinel services to come at you, even if you didn't do anything wrong. And that is where the Xavier dream becomes a nightmare. You have to be prepared for war. You need to fight to protect a world that hates and fears you. But realistically, isn't there a reason they hate and fear them? Now, tonight we got a turn for the worse. Remember, a couple episodes ago, Sentinel Services didn't want to work with this guy. But now that he's been forced to relive his worst moment in his life, the loss of his daughter, a second time, because of memory messing around, boom, that torture, that craziness has now been turned up to 11. Now, this is the first time we've also heard exactly the fact that the incident was involving the X-Men, and that the X-Men have asked this underground group to work for them. We also found out a little bit more about their Patriot Act expansion. They can't just willy-nilly wiretap anyone. They still need court orders. So, there's still some rule of law in this world. We also got to see Warbird before he became Warbird, still trying to help people with his powers, and I am curious exactly how powerful they're making him. He's one part Wolverine and one part Colossus, and that's a whole lot of parts of badass. But he was able to catch that car. That means reflex enhancement as well. And when we spent most of the episode digging into father issues, he also made a mention of the fact that he wanted his father to be proud of him, which of course links the whole thing back together. Kids wanting to know whether or not they're going to grow up to be their parents, parents worrying about how they're raising their kids. And you know what? If there were no mutants in this situation, and you substituted any other minority, you'd just have a straight up drama. But of course, we get kick ass powers to go with it. And so I want to talk about those powers for a moment. What we saw tonight, we saw the ability to, well, we saw the ability to absorb light going with the ability to send it out. We've seen more and more levels of matter manipulation from the kids. And of course, now we've got an illusion thrower, along with some form of telekinetic blast. All in all, the team's getting pretty badass. There's a lot of mutants running around. And like I said, there's a reason to be scared of mutants. There's a reason to be scared of the X-Men. Yeah, they're doing good. They're fighting to protect a world that hates and fears them. But they're also messing with people's heads. And Blink was just like, yo, I'm out. Now, of course, she's main cast, so we all know she's coming back. But I guess that's not really a spoiler, but let me know down in the comment section. Do you think we're going to see more of her next week? Or do you think that we're going to have an episode or two before she comes back for a big reveal? I'm curious myself. Now, I am sorry about the sound issues today, but my computer is not working properly, so I had to use a backup one, and the sound quality is not as good. But if you enjoyed what I had to say, even if not listening to how I said it, hit that like button and share this video. And of course, if this is your first time here, subscribe and click for those alerts. Like I said up top, I'd really like to start a whole community, be able to talk about these things. We could talk about how they react to the comic books, how they are better or worse than the movies, or maybe just in general, what it would be like to be a mutant in a world that hates and fears you, and why that story resonates so much with everyone. For now, I hope you have a good night, and thanks for walking with me through the heart of the story of Gifted.